Everybody to We Geek podcast. Today is July 12th. We're of course on the N.FM. My name's Adam, joined by my good friend Logan.
Hello.
What up, man? And how's your week been?
It's been crazy. Been a crazy, awesome week. Weekend in particular. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. At Statesville Comic-Con on Saturday. It was a blast.
Oh, how was that, dude? Did you pick up anything?
I got a couple things. I got a couple wood burnings. One Star Wars, one Supernatural. The Star Wars one's just like a little plaque, and it's just a Han and Leia in profile from Empire. I love you. I know. I was like, that's cool. And the Supernatural one is the kind of the unofficial logo, and it's got their family name on it. It says Winchester, established 2005. Which I thought was funny. And it's a pegboard for keys. It's got little hooks on the bottom and everything.
That's awesome.
And they were surprisingly cheap, because I thought that was going to be like $50. So I was like, which one do I get? But it was half that. It was 25 and the little plaque was 10. I was like, sweet, I can do both of those. Rock on.
That's awesome.
And stopped by. There were tables there from I don't know how many different comic shops in the area. Our local one, R&B, had their table in the corner. There were some. I think there was one from Hickory. There were a couple from Charlotte, and there was one in the corner that had these really awesome prints. And I grabbed 3. They were 8 apiece or 3 for $20. I was like, well, screw it. I like 2 of these, so I'll just grab a third one too while I'm at it. One was like a poster, like a recruitment poster for the Night's Watch, and it was
that's cool.
It was really cool. Like, it was an old style, like, kind of when you see like people are doing like 50s posters or something. And that was cool. And then they had 2 prints that were based off of comic books, and they were both wrestling related. Somebody had done She-Hulk #1 but with Becky Lynch, and somebody else had done, I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it was a cover of Suicide Squad that had like all the like the heads on each side, like the lineup kind of thing.
Oh wow!
And they had that for Bullet Club for the first incarnation.
Nice.
And those were awesome. But yeah, it was cool. Dude. My hand hurts. When I went the first time. Because I went and I got stuff. I wore the 100th episode shirt, and then because I posted the pictures of the wrestling prints that I got to the group that we're in, and everybody was like, "Oh, dude, did you get a card? Did you get?" And I was like, "Oh shit." So the one place I didn't get one from. So at that point, I'd gone home and I was like, "Oh, I gotta go back." So I grabbed my Bullet Club shirt and went over there, and I was there like 5 minutes the second time, and I started to get a cramp in my hand from having to too sweet everybody. It was,
nice.
It was great. Like, all of us, like I don't know, like a dozen different people came up to me. I was only there, like, I still had my wristband, just went right in through and back to the dude in the back and had to wait. He was helping somebody. And then, because he had the cards behind something. It was, I guess, because instead of, like, just leaving them out for people to take, it was like, oh, if you ask, you'll get one. But, whatever. But
that's awesome, man.
It was packed. It was absolutely packed, and so many cosplayers. We didn't have I don't know, a handful when they did it in February the first time around, but for this time, it was insane. I would say half of everybody that was there was cosplaying.
That's so awesome.
It was fantastic. And not just like, it wasn't somebody who was doing a Team Rocket thing where like they just threw a shirt on over some black pants. Like
right.
There was all kinds. I mean, from everywhere. I mean, we had people from Street Fighter, like I saw Chun-Li and Cammy. We had, I think, 3 different doctors. I saw who was there. It was
Wow.
11, 11, 10, and 4 were there that I saw. And just all kinds. Little kids in costume too and everything. It was awesome. It was really freaking cool to see in a town of 20,000 people, this kind of, especially a fairly rural-ish town, to see just a huge embrace, and the surrounding area. Like, this is a fairly, it's not a wide open farm country kind of area. It's more like industrial country kind of area. But to see like all of that love for everything nerd was just awesome. It was so cool.
Dude, that's awesome. That's really awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking at their Facebook page. Looks like, I guess there's a place around there called R&B Games, Cards, and Comics. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's our local place. Yeah, they're on.
Okay.
They're off of East Side. They're actually right next to the theater, which is sweet.
Is that the place you go to?
Yeah. It's.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the only one we've got here. They were in a small place on Broad Street, and then they had to move because they needed a bigger space.
Oh, word.
So they had to move to they had to move closer to the theater because that had the size space they need. And it's a really cool place. They've got a huge area for cards. Like they've got tournaments all the time going on.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, it looks dude, places like that are awesome. I went, since we've last been on, I went to a Comic-Con, or a comic shop. It's a local comic shop here. They had a cheesy American night where they played super cheesy music from like the 90s. And they gave away like grilled cheese sandwiches. I think for free. I was just handed a grilled cheese sandwich. They had Zimas and stuff for like $1 where you put like a Jolly Rancher in it. It was just fun, and a lot of nerds came out, a lot of geeks came out, dude. Like, it was packed. And I met up with some friends there, because every once in a while, like, I love that they do stuff like that. I admittedly don't go as much as I should, but I was like, that could be fun, and I have the next day off, so, and it was great. It was a blast. I need to go to more stuff like that, just to get out of my comfort zone, and it was fun. But that's really cool to hear, like, where you live, because I live in a bigger city, so it's not common to have that, but it's cool to hear that even in, like, smaller towns, they have a thing like that where a whole bunch of cosplay people come out. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, you guys have Megacon. Shut up.
Right. Yeah, we're spoiled, but I mean, that's what I did last weekend. But dude, that was a blast. And yeah, dude, I've been on this kick now where I'm just reading a ton of DC stuff, and spent the week, like, I've gotten now, I think, caught up on Green Lantern, or Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns, and it's like become a problem where every time I go there now, I'm like, all right, I need this, I need that, It's gotten to the point where, like, some of the people there are like, well, you've read a lot. Like, what, I'm not sure what else we could do,
Right.
They don't say that, but you know what I mean? It's like, kind of ponder what's next. I don't know. I've never actually read through Watchmen.
Oh, well, there you go.
I think I've skimmed through it, and I've only seen the movie. So I think that's going to be the next one I dive into.
Yeah, especially with what they're doing in DC. It'd probably be a good time to do that.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I just ordered HBO Now, or whatever you call it, because Game of Thrones is coming up next week, or this weekend, I think.
Yeah, this Sunday.
Yeah, this Sunday. So I saw that Watchmen was on there, so I rewatched that, and I think that's far and away my favorite Zack Snyder film.
Yeah, but, that's not a tremendously high bar.
Right. And, it's definitely, I can see where, there's a scene in that movie, I forget the kid's name, at the end of the movie, spoilers for Watchmen, but at the end of the movie, when they're in New York City and a bomb's about to go off, this guy's like, hey, what's your name? You've been coming up here for years. And he says, I'm just going to make it up, but he's like, oh, my name's Anthony. And the guy goes, that's my name too. And I thought, that son of a bitch. He did the same damn thing in Batman vs Superman
Yeah.
that he did in Watchmen.
Yeah.
But it makes all the stuff he does in Watchmen makes sense. How dark it is and how, it's like a satire on superheroes.
Right. It's supposed to be like that.
Exactly. And he just like applied that to the DC universe, and it was like, oh no, you're doing it wrong. But I don't know. I rewatched the movie and I was like, wow, I really like this movie. I liked it before, and I know a lot of people didn't. But man, watching it again, I was like, this is really good. This is really good stuff. And it gives it, I guess, now I have a lot more context because a lot of the stuff in the DC stuff, a lot of the same things were said that Dr. Manhattan says, which I imagine obviously he says in the comics.
Yeah.
But it, he's like, I'm going to go and I'm going to create a world and stuff like that. It's like, oh shit, it's all tying in. So, I loved it, but yeah, no, I've not been doing much. Geek wise, been doing a lot of stuff with the family. But, oh yeah, Injustice 2, Sub-Zero came out, so I've been leveling up that. That's been fun.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I heard about that. I was in GameStop the other day. I was putting a little more on my Destiny pre-order, and I heard somebody asking, like, yo, how do I get Sub-Zero? Like, well, you do the season pass or, just buy them from the store. And they were like, oh, all right.
Yeah, it's got to be kind of disappointing. But, man, I love it. I love every 3 weeks or whatever. It's like, there's a new character. And it's to me, it's a little bit different than, before it was like you buy the character, there you go, you got the character, that's it. You just have fun with them. Where it's like now, it's like, right now there's a world in the multiverse that's all Sub-Zero related, and it has a little story. It has an ending at the end of it where it does like a little movie thing, and you level him up and you learn his character. So to me, it adds a little bit more than just your stereotypical, here's a character, have fun.
Exactly. That's how they should do it when they do it that way. That's awesome. I'm glad they're doing it that way.
Oh yeah, it's exactly how, like, when the Wonder Woman week where there was a world there strictly for her, and she had an ending in it. Same with Red Hood, and now with her. And then I'm sure in 3 weeks from now when they do, I think it's Star Sapphire or the Teen Titans girl. I'm not sure her name.
Starfire.
Starfire?
Right? No, yeah. Damn. Why does that not sound right?
It's Starfire. Yeah. No, it is. I have the Titans book, but that's one of them I haven't gotten to yet. I read the Teen Titans one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think she comes in like 3 weeks, and in a few weeks we'll have San Diego Comic-Con, and that's when they'll announce.
It's 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yep. And that's when I imagine they'll announce the next 3, which is going to be, they've hinted it's going to be Submariner and whoever the other 2 are in his little pack.
Hang on. What?
Or what's his name? Not Submariner.
I was going to say, that's Marvel, man. That's
Namor.
Marvel.
Yeah. Blah. The Black... What is his name?
The Black Manta. Is that who you're looking for?
Black Manta. Yeah. That's it. I'm not... Aquaman's not really my... I like Aquaman, but...
I'll tell you what, they put the Submariner in this. I'm going out and getting that season pass today. Are you kidding?
Right. Well, apparently he put on Twitter, Ed Boon, the guy who created the game, of course, Mortal Kombat and this... he was like, who's your favorite doctor? And, like, he had a poll up, and he goes, oh, oops, I guess I should have put Dr. Manhattan. And it's like, oh, who are you hinting at? Because, holy shit, that would be an awesome character to add.
Yeah. But you could totally pick anybody from Watchmen. Do a Watchmen pack and put them in there.
Yeah, and DC owns them. They could absolutely be in the game. And I could totally see them doing him, Rorschach, or honestly, they could do just a what do you call it? A premiere skin of Batman for Night Owl.
They could do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you could totally do that. A premiere skin for Superman for Dr. Manhattan. Like, it's not a crazy concept. Those basically what those characters are based on.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if it was just a premiere skin, I would be totally happy with it. And if it had like voice acting and all that stuff attached to it, I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Totally.
Yeah. But no, outside of that, I've just been busy. I've been messing around with Adobe Premiere and stuff like that. But yeah, that's just trying to learn that and watching YouTube videos and whatever. But yeah, that's about it. I know you saw. We'll talk about it later in the show. SpiderMan: Homecoming.
I saw it twice.
You saw it twice. I know that you're dude, so I expected that.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, we're not going to get into it right now because we're definitely going to talk about it later in the show. We're gonna I kind of wanted this to be like we're gonna have our news, and then later on we're just gonna geek out about Spider-Man and what our history is with the character and what he means to us, and where we jumped on board with Spider-Man and all that good stuff. Maybe we'll rank the movies. But man, did it really get me to... I literally drove from the theater, went to a comic shop, and I picked up Miles Morales, but the Spider-Man comic, the recent one, the graphic novel, because I've read the first 5 issues, but I didn't read anything after that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to pick this up because later I want to dive into it. But it's definitely made me want to go like, okay, I need to read more Spider-Man because shit is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll talk about all that later. Well, we can talk about some quick news real fast before we go to a break. Did you see that with the Captain Marvel film, they've added Nick Fury to it?
Interesting. Do you think is it going to be like a flashback maybe, or like is it going to be present Nick Fury, or is it going to be like he was there when she got her powers or something?
Does Captain Marvel take place before what's going on right now?
I see that. I don't know.
I could totally see it being current because Nick Fury is like he's ahead of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now, right?
Like he's kind of back in.
He's back.
But like not really. Like it was weird what happened with him in Age of Ultron and everything, where it was like, oh yeah, he can pull strings, but I'm not caught up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So S.H.I.E.L.D. by itself is in a really odd place, the last that I saw, but I don't know where it's at right now.
We both got to watch the show. I think that's where it kind of lays down to, but I'm pretty sure Nick Fury is back, as the latest one that he was in he wasn't in Civil War, was he?
Oh wait, yeah, he wasn't he? No, yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, no, he
I know he was in Age of Ultron. Yes,
he was in Age of Ultron, but that's when he kind of went like just. Didn't they talk about Nick Fury in this one? No. I was saying, well, anyway, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk about that when we get back. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. We'll see you guys all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And before we left, we were talking about Nick Fury. We looked it up. Yeah, I guess he was not in Civil War. He was in last movie he was in was Age of Ultron.
Yeah, that was what I thought, but I couldn't remember.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We're not caught up with the show either, so we're not sure how involved he is, or I'm sure they mention him or talk about his absence, but I think that's cool. I think it's just implied that even if he's not in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D., he's still in charge of, like, he's pulling the strings somewhere in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
So... And Captain Marvel is a pretty big deal, especially like on, the scale of the universe. So he would want to know about that immediately. Like, she is crazy powerful, like Thor almost.
Yeah, just it makes you wonder, are they going to start incorporating things like sword?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Maybe that's what, he's running right now. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it would make sense. It would make perfect sense if he was. Yeah, I guess it just depends on when Captain Marvel takes place. Yeah.
Be interesting. Yeah, that's I'm not sure. I don't know if we have do we have any kind of synopsis or anything for that yet?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not really sure. We know it's going to be with Carol Danvers, but that's it. They're going straight to her, so it's not even... I mean, I'm curious how they're going to do the whole Marvel thing. But, yeah, I don't know. And then, of course, Miss Marvel, I don't know. I don't know if she's going to be in the film or how they handle that. But, yeah, we'll have to wait to find out.
Yeah. I don't know.
So,
gonna be interesting.
Yeah. So, Fox had some news come out. Company set some dates for 6 future X-Men projects. 2019 would June 7th and November 22nd. 2020 March 13th, June 26th, October 2nd, and 2001 March 5th. So I imagine these are, Deadpool, X-Men, and then like something else.
Right, but I mean, what's we know one of these is going to be Deadpool. We know one of these is going to be whatever's next for the X-Men. But, I mean, what? Are they planning Deadpool 3 in 2021? Is that maybe what that is?
Oh, yeah.
So,
possibly, yeah.
I mean, okay, so maybe we've got 1, 2, 3. We know what half of them are. What the hell are the other
we have
three?
Deadpool 2 that comes out probably at the end of this year or next year, right?
Yeah, but I mean, this is, this is looking way forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they got a, one of these might be an X-23 film. One of them's going to be the New Mutants film.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the New Mutants.
Could be an X-Force film, a Gambit film.
Yeah, that Gambit film's never going to happen.
With the people that were attached to it, probably not. But, I don't know. I don't think Gambit would... I don't know. I think there's other characters that would be a better film than Gambit. I think Gambit was just a cool-looking character. He looked cool, in the cartoon. But outside of that, I had no, attachment to the character.
He had his own series a handful of years ago, and it was good. His own comic.
He did. Yeah, he's a thief.
Yeah, it was a good run. It was a fun little, just kind of side thing. I liked it.
I don't know. One day we might get we already kind of got our Magneto movie in a way. Magneto and Wolverine have really been given the spotlight over the last few years, and same with Professor X. So I don't know who you would go after to do a film with the X-Men. There's a ton of characters, but
how do you make them interesting enough to carry their own movie?
Exactly.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. And we know Deadpool definitely can. I'm sure one of these are the New Mutants. I don't know if New Mutants is going to be what kind of takes over as the main series, or do we get the main X-Men, New Mutants, and Deadpool, and that's what all these are sequels and stuff of those. Who knows?
Yeah, but I mean that still leaves at least one film open. I mean, all right, let's say we've got a Deadpool sequel here, X-23, X-Force. That takes care of 3. Another X-Men movie, probably. Whatever's coming after. What is this one called now? Supernova? What is it called?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
So that's 4, but there's still 2 out there that are kind of up in the air. Is one of them a placeholder for another stab at the Fantastic Four, do you think?
Yeah, possibly. Well, didn't we read that? I read somewhere, I thought that that they were looking to do an animated or a kids movie for Fantastic Four, and it was going to deal with their children.
That they've tried going to the well on the original lineup twice, really, because there was no sequel to the original, so they've had 2 Fantastic Four movies, and I mean, the first one was what it was, and it wasn't awful. The last one was just. Yeah. Right. So if they were going to decide to say, hey, forget all that stuff, the Fantastic Four, they have kids. Let's follow the kids. I don't think that's that's not the worst idea in the world, for sure.
No. I mean, I don't know if it'd be a Power Pack movie, but yeah, it's supposed to be about their kids apparently. So. Yeah. Yep.
They've had worse ideas.
Yeah. Definitely had worse ideas. I also saw that oh man, I can totally mispronounce this guy's name, so I'm not going to go there. Here, I'll send. Yeah. Anyway, let's go on to the next bit of news. Hellboy is apparently Lionsgate is going to distribute the film.
Excellent.
For the next one.
I like that choice.
Yeah.
It's a good choice.
Definitely. Let's see. We got some Fantastic Beasts 2 news. I lost my place here. I guess the filming has started. And the pilot synopsis revealed Wizarding Circus.
Yeah, there's going to be a wizard's version of Barnum and Bailey's 3-ring circus.
That'd be cool. I mean,
it's different.
Well, you're the Harry Potter guy on the show, so tell me, does that sound interesting, or?
I'm actually, I think that's a really neat idea, because I mean that was, we're talking, what's the time period this is set in? 20s, 30s, 40s. This is the time for something like that. I think a circus fits, and I think it would be a really interesting thing to see.
Yeah, I think it fits the whimsical kind of side of it. It's supposed to be in it's still going to stay in America, right?
No, it's they're Europe hopping this time.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. And John Oliver is apparently going to voice Zazu on live action remake of Lion King.
Yeah, I like that choice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I couldn't think of a better one. Oh yeah.
But I guess they were trying to find, okay, who's kind of like Rowan Atkinson, but not him, and so they went with John Oliver. And okay, fair enough.
Right. Yep. Yep. So that's. Can't wait for that movie. You go and take this next one. I know.
Yeah. We'll slide into TV news here, and this. I'm mixed about this, but I'm mostly on the side of I think this is a good idea. The next season of Supernatural is going to be its 14th. It's its 14th freaking season, and they're saying that's going to be the last one. They know it going in. It's going to be the end of it. And it's, some people say, oh, they should have done it a long time ago, blah, 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 blah. And, you can argue that either side, but I think it's the right time. So I'm good for it.
That's a long, holy crap, 14 seasons.
Yeah, that's
daunting for someone like me that's like, oh, that looks interesting. A lot of people love it, and it's like, oh shit, 14 seasons.
Well, and the interesting thing about it is, for as much as there is that carries over, you can pretty much pick up the basic concepts fairly quickly. And each season is largely self-contained. So if you wanted to jump in, you don't have to know all the history. And that's what I like. For as serialized as the show is, and as much as it leans on everything that's happened, you're not going to miss a ton by not knowing the minutia of what happened when. The bigger themes are more important, and I like that. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those where I'm going to sit down one day and try and get through a bunch of them and see where I land. Yeah. But yeah, people love that show. Go ahead and take the next one here, too.
Yeah. Mahershala Ali is reportedly in the running to star in the 3rd season of True Detective.
Yeah. Second one blew.
Yeah, I that was what I heard, so I never watched it. Like, I stopped at 1. I was like, that was good. And everybody, because that's what everybody said, was like 1 was amazing, and then 2 was just dog shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it
cool.
was garbage.
I'll stop at 1. I'm all right with that. But,
Yep. That's kind of cool. I like that it's every season's different, so we can pop into the second one or third one and be like, all right, let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
I found that thing you sent me, so I'll take a stab at this here. I'm gonna go with Jaume Collet-Serra. I'm gonna give that a shot. The guy who directed The Shallows is potentially going to direct Suicide Squad 2. He's apparently the name at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's an interesting choice for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
I imagine
it can only go up from here.
yeah, man, ain't that the truth?
Suicide Squad done right could be really fun.
Suicide Squad done the way the trailer showed like it would be done would have been awesome, but...
Well, that's the problem, is... Well, we all know what happened. They released the first trailer, and it wasn't that fun. And the Comic-Con thing a while ago.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and then people saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and they lost their shit, and were like, we love fun, and then they put that in the trailer, and they were like, no, this is great, it's fun, there's a lot of colors, We're gonna have a ball. Here's some old music, and then they reshot a shitload of it. Oh no, wait, I'm getting it all wrong. They released the trailer. It was like old music, Guardians type stuff, fun, colorful, blah blah blah. And they realized that the film did not represent that.
Right.
And so they went back and reshot a bunch of scenes to add humor, and it didn't fit right because of course it's not going to fit right when it's done like that.
Exactly.
It needs to be done from the ground up. Like right now in Rebirth, in Suicide Squad, they have like General Zod. It's fucking bananas, and they're like, and Deadshot's like, we're all gonna die. Like, this is fucked. What are we doing? This guy's gonna kill everybody. It could be fun. It could be so much fun, but we'll see. I think they got some of the main characters correct, but it's just the humor and everything was just completely off, and the pacing, and we've gone on, and the Joker for no reason, like. It could have been a lot better.
Yeah, it really could have been.
Yeah. Got some Jetsons news. Gary Janetti from Family Guy and Robert Zemeckis to co-showrun a live-action reboot.
Yeah, they're going to do a live-action Jetsons series with one of the producers from Family Guy and Robert freaking Zemeckis as showrunners. What in the hell? What world did I wake up in the other day? What happened?
Yeah, it's weird.
You know what we need to do? We need a live action version of the Jetsons. You know who should run the thing? The guy who did Back to the Future.
Right. It just doesn't.
I'm now curious to see what it's going to be like. So there's that, but I don't know just how well it's going to actually work.
Yeah, what does that even mean? It's going to be like it's got to be a sitcom, right?
It would have to be. It would have to be.
Right. I mean, it's not that far-fetched. We're basically getting like a Star Trek sitcom, on Fox with what's his face. So it's not that far-fetched, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's crazy. Are we gonna get like a live-action Flintstones TV show next?
They did that already. They tried to reboot the Honeymooners, but it didn't work.
Well, have you apparently? And this is gonna sound crazy. Apparently, the comic, the Flintstones, is really good.
I had heard that, and I'm not all that surprised, really.
Yeah, apparently they talk about modern day issues, but in Flintstones times and they take it a lot more seriously, apparently, but in a fun way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, because the original Flintstones cartoon was from back in the days of yore, and then it just kind of rolled on through.
Right.
Doing it now, yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. So, but I'm sure I think it's done too now, so it'll all be collected is probably one big thing.
Oh, cool. How many issues did it run?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I had to ask, didn't I?
Right.
Yeah, I don't. Yep. Yeah, that. I don't know. That could be if done right. Yeah, I could see that being really interesting.
Yeah. It ran from June to June, so 12 issues. So yeah, that will be a.
That'll be a trade at some point.
That'll be a trade for sure. Which is great. It's awesome.
Nice.
Yep. Speaking, since we got a few minutes here, comic book news. Max Landis has been all over Twitter talking about he wants to do a Superman and Dick Grayson story.
Wait, what?
Yeah. He's hinted all over Twitter today, called Superman, Agent of Batman. And it's about how Superman takes Dick Grayson under his wing.
Okay.
Apparently he got his name Nightwing from Superman. I didn't know that. But yeah, he's been all over Twitter talking about that and Amazing Spider-Man, or not Amazing Spider-Man, Jesus, Homecoming. He loved the movie. He had a lot of criticism of it, but he loved the film, and people just lit him up on Facebook.
Yeah.
He's like, guys, I can be a critic here, but I love the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not cognitive dissonance to say, I really loved something. Here are some issues I had with it, but I didn't let that stop me from enjoying it. You can
exactly.
You can have that mindset.
Right. He pointed out some obvious, like, well, that would never happen, or this would, but then at the end of the day, he's like, but it was awesome, so it didn't matter. It just didn't, he goes into it thinking like a writer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A writer first, so of course he's going to find plot holes, or, well, would they react that way, or, that kind of thing. And then, but he's like, at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun, and it was awesome, and, it can be critical of something, but yeah, so I don't know. So, dude, American Alien, one of my favorite Superman comics. So to have, like, and he had a list of comics, Dream Jobs at DC, Superman, Agent of Batman, Killer Moth, Joker / Harley, The Truth Is, Lois Lane / Victor Freeze, Light Through Glass, and then Jimmy Olsen.
I would take that Jimmy Olsen comic. That I would love to see for sure.
Oh yeah, a Max Landis Jimmy Olsen comic. That would be. Imagine where that would go.
Yeah.
But we gotta take a quick break. When we get back, we will get into some more. Actually, we'll jump into video game news, and we'll be back soon. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. See you guys all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And we'll just jump right into the video game news. Not that much. Sorry, I'll try that again. Not that much news out there, but we got some free games this month. So the PlayStation Plus games for July are Until Dawn for PS4, which is fun. Go play that.
Yes.
It's like just a really awesome Telltale game that is in a way better engine, and you just go download it if you're a fan of like slasher movies, or Scream, Jason, those kind of films. Go download it. Game of Thrones, which is a Telltale game, for PS4. Tokyo Jungle for PS3. Darkstalkers Resurrection, PS3. Elemental with a 4 in the middle of it, for PS4. And Don't Die, Mr. Robot, for PS Vita, cross-buy with PlayStation 4.
Yeah, Elemental's on Vita. I don't know if it has cross-buy or not.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The Xbox game for gold, Xbox One is Grow Up, which is July 1st through 31st. Runbow, which is July 16th through August 15th. Xbox 360 games, Kane Lynch 2, July 1st through 15th. Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, July 16th through 31st.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
An interesting comparison for the lineups there.
Yeah.
Okay, if anybody's still got their PS3, you've got to play Tokyo Jungle. It's hysterical. I loved it so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. For anybody that doesn't know, you play as animals living in like a post-apocalyptic Tokyo, but it's a platformer, and I don't mean you play as, like, you can unlock bigger animals later on, but like you start as like a Pomeranian. It's hilarious. It's definitely something where you're like, oh yeah, this was a Japanese game, wasn't it?
That's great.
And it's awesome. Like, the way it works is really cool.
Oh yeah. Cool. Oh yeah, dude, Marvel Heroes, it's like a Diablo 2 game. It's not a multi-massive, but it's like a Marvel game that looks kind of like Diablo 2, where you can pick like different characters. You can play any of the characters up to like level 10, but then you got to pay for them individually. The most popular characters are more expensive. They're going to be like $10.
Sure.
Maybe more. I forget. The lesser known ones are a lot cheaper, and then there's free ones. But I believe it's a free-to-play game. I don't know. I don't think there's a buy-in cost for it unless you want a certain character. But they've removed the Fantastic Four characters due to in-game rights issues. Silver Surfer, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and Thing no longer available to purchase in the game, which sucks.
Yeah. That's just more fuel on the fire that Marvel and Fox, at least when it comes to Fantastic Four, are not getting along.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Before we get out of video game news, did you see... This is kind of like inside baseball with a lot of video game journalism and stuff like that. But did you see do you know who Donkey is?
No.
The YouTuber? He's got like 3 million subscribers, so like he's not he's not a nobody,
right.
but at the same time, he's not IGN. And he took a shot at basically all those websites. I gotta say, I agree with a lot of what he was saying in the video, but, there's a lot of stones you can throw at those websites when you're just like, you're your own voice. So essentially what he was saying is like how inconsistent they are with some things, and how, he's like, you ever notice how every game is between like 3, like they do their grade and it's either like a 7, 8, or 9, all the major ones. And he's like, you could go into the review and the review will trash the game and they'll be like, oh, it was an 8. And you're like, how the fuck did you come up with an 8?
Yeah.
And his video just kind of goes after, like, he calls bullshit on a lot of stuff because he's like, they're very inconsistent. Like he just took a whole bunch of clips of all the different people from IGN talking about Sonic and how terrible it is and how great it is and how terrible it is and how great it is and all the different voices of it. And he's like, but when you get when a publisher puts out a review and whatever, they say IGN at the end of it, instead of like the guy reviewing it. And I don't know, it's a long drawn out thing and I won't go too much into it, but it's definitely interesting. Go check out his channel, anyone listening. And it's called Game Critics, and he talks about how, the future is people like Total Biscuit or Jim Sterling, where there's a face to the review, and you're going to know Total Biscuit is all about PC games. He does not like anime games, so don't ever listen to him talk about an anime game or anything like that, because he's going to call it trash, But he's very good at what he does for a specific kind of games. Like, he knows MMOs like the back of his hand. He knows a lot of strategy games like the back of his hand. That stuff like that, so on and so forth. And I don't know, he made a lot of great points, but it was just, man, the games media just went after him over the last week because of his remarks, and they're just calling out his hypocrisy, because they're like, you're on YouTube, you don't have to. He had a lot of great points. He's like, look, if a guy puts out a review for something, an editorial, it doesn't match up to editorial, they're not going to run it, or they're going to say, hey, make that number higher. And he literally showed a picture of Jeff Gerstmann, which, and if anyone knows, Jeff Gerstmann got fired from GameSpot because he didn't give a good review for Kane and Lynch. They said, no, that number needs to be higher. He said, I don't think that game deserves that. He got fired. And then we got Giant Bomb. That's why a lot of people hold Giant Bomb to the level of integrity as they do, because they don't bullshit. They're not, there's all of their advertisement and all that other stuff is for, stuff around gaming, but nothing to do with like the actual game. But you go on IGN and you see an ad for Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And it makes you like, well, wait a second, you got these deal with these, And so he goes into all of that, and he's like, it hasn't changed. They're still doing the same things, and I don't know. It's interesting. I'll say that. So
yeah.
But it was, yeah.
I always take that kind of thing with a grain of salt. The idea of like, and this is the future of what this looks like, because on the one hand, true, but I don't think it's. And you can't argue with 3 million subscribers and look at mm-hmm. people like Total Biscuit. They have these genuinely substantial followings, but mm-hmm. and here's the caveat, that exists in kind of a bubble in the world of video games as a whole. We pay hyper attention to that because it's what we like, and it's like I said, it's not insubstantial, but it's not. We're not at that paradigm shifting point yet. And I liken that to when with us in wrestling and who we talk to and what we think. Mm-hmm. We will boo the hell out of Roman Reigns. And we will hear everybody around us talk about how, this is not the way they should be doing this, stop pushing this guy, he's boring, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Go to a show and hear half of that crowd at least unironically cheer for him and realize that what we think and what we see and what we believe is the way things should be and should go is not really the way the stream is flowing.
Right, but I think he knows he is a little fish in the pond.
Right.
But PewDiePie with 50 million subscribers is a threat to them. Or at least that's how they feel. It's it's no surprise to anyone why Wall Street Journal buried him. And that's a whole nother topic, but the games journalism as it is, I think, is definitely going into the direction of influencers. And by influencers, I'm basically just not saying the word YouTubers because that just sounds silly.
Right.
You go to IGN, you go to the GameSpot, they're putting personalities before, to me, sadly, sometimes they're writing. Because most people know their personalities. They know the people they have on film. But, you could probably name how many people, like Brian Altano, Max Scoville, all these people, but you probably can't sit there and name all they don't do reviews. You know what I mean? They don't sit there and write. I think they're putting more money and more time into those. I mean, they have now a Disney XD channel show, and the people on that, I think there's like one of them that does reviews, maybe two. I don't know. I could be wrong, but they seemed more like the faces that you see on, their shows and stuff like that. I do think that, even like E3, it used to be critics, and now like it's influencers that they're putting up there because they're like, oh shit, that guy has fucking 8 million subscribers, 12 million subscribers. The amount of times people are watching their videos, they're getting 1 million new views on their channel a day. Like I don't think it's anything to I think that they're finally being noticed, if that makes sense. Obviously, they're never going to do the numbers of IGN and stuff like that because they're too big. But, I also think that it's important, if that makes sense, that there are people out there that they work for themselves. They get their money by the ads that are put up on their YouTube channel, and they don't even know what ad it's going to be.
Right.
Does that make sense? Or their Patreon subscribers. This is exactly what Kind of Funny did. They broke off. They wanted to do their own thing. And they have ads and stuff like that, but it's for Amazon and stuff like that. It's not for a certain game. If they do paid advertising for a game, they say that right up front. So I don't know. It's one of those things. That's a whole nother topic. Like I don't even think they should be grading games on a number scale. I think if they took away the score, and that was one thing Donkey talks about. It's so weird saying his name, but he's like, you read the review and it's like they did not like it, but the number is completely different. It's like if you took that number away and you just read the review, you'd be like, oh, that sounds like shit. He didn't like what he was playing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And so it's crazy. It's crazy to see because. And they put it a great way. Even Jeff Gerstmann talks about this, and Jeff Gerstmann knows that Giant Bomb is in the weird spot because they have 1 foot in the door with they're kind of a site like IGN, but they do also have their other foot in the door where they are influencers. Their stuff just isn't on YouTube; it's on their own website.
Right.
And they see that difference because he worked for gaming magazines, and gaming magazines. They were scared to death of the internet websites. And they were like, they'll never get to the same level as us, magazines. We have such prestige, and there's no way the internet would ever overtake us. And he sees the same thing now with websites and YouTube. He says it's the exact same thing. They say, well, there's no way that these influencers would ever be bigger than us, and he's like, it's happening right now. Yeah. So it's crazy to think about, so I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I don't agree on everything he was saying. I also didn't like how they all attacked him. Like, I guess they have to because they feel attacked, but I just thought it was interesting, I guess, is all.
Yeah. Different. I like when there's conversation. I think that only helps. Being that it's YouTube, I imagine the comments section was not exactly anything short of a giant dumpster fire, but
Right. Well, here's the thing. I wish he would have a conversation about it, because obviously it's just him talking into a microphone, and there is no conversation.
Right.
But I want him to actually talk to people about it. I want him to go on Total Biscuit's show. I would love for him to get on Wavepoint. Wavepoint talked about it all week this week. They're like, come on our show. Let's discuss this. Let's have a conversation, an intellectual conversation about what's going on, and what can we do to help fix this, instead of it just being him like, well, this is bullshit,
Right, exactly.
But yeah, like you said, it begins a conversation of, it makes people aware that when you're, if at the very least, it should make you aware that when you're reading a review from a website, like he pointed out Crash Bandicoot and how that reviewer did not finish the game, and he felt he didn't need to finish the game, and he trashed it and whatever he said about it. He was just like, you need to consider that. Don't just scroll down and look at the number, because that's what people do. Yeah. Unfortunately, they just want the number and that's it. They don't give a shit what is said about it. And I think that if they took that number away, you might get people going, hey, let's read this. Yeah. Let me find out what this person thinks of it. And then I see they didn't actually finish the game, so take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
That's why when I do my movie reviews, I'm working on my SpiderMan one now. I don't have a grading scale. I don't do a 5 stars or out of 10 rating. I review the movie, and at the bottom is audiences that I think will like it and audiences that I think won't. I don't get the idea of like, oh, this is a B+ movie.
The reason why they do that, it's a metric thing. Yeah. They want IGN's name on a box. They want IGN's name on a magazine. They want it on an ad. Yeah. They want IGN. And unfortunately, what you're describing, which is what should be, is not good for a metric system. And that's the unfortunate fact. And that's one of the things he dives into in the video, I believe, is, it's not good for a metric system if you don't have that. So, yeah, I applaud you for doing that, because that is the future. If you really want to be taken seriously, I think, is so people read your content and they're like, okay, this is his opinion of it, and they don't jump to the 5 and they're like, what does a 5 mean? Right. Because some people, if you're doing a 1 out of 10 scale, a 5 is mediocre, but to some people that's like, no, that's garbage. Yeah. Yeah. So it's one of those weird things.
And this started for me back with Jim Sterling and his Assassin's Creed 2 review, when everybody just looked at the fact that it was an abysmal score, and nobody actually read the article where he talked in great detail about how he sucked at those kind of games. Right. And I would have thought immediately, like, okay, that should be red flag number 1. Right. Just, everything else aside, if that's like, okay, this is my job to review these games, which I'm terrible at, then that's just bad on a number of different levels. And then when you get to the end where, you have to give it a score, then, you're going to go with, well, this is how much I didn't enjoy it and how much I thought it was broken. When somebody else could come along and say, no, you just have to be a little more coordinated. That's, the whole system is just screwed up. But, it's
same thing with his new Zelda one. Like, the new Zelda game. If you listen to his review, he loved the game. He gave it a 7 or 8 or something, but it was only because it wasn't a perfect game to him. And it's like, you know what, that's fair. A 7, if you think about 1 through 10, it's not that bad. And obviously, he says the whole time, he's like, you're entitled to your opinion, but to me it wasn't as good as I was hoping or whatever, but he loved the game. But that is all diminished by that number. Yeah, yeah. And that's people were like DDoSing him. They were like finding out where he lives and sending death threats, and they wanted to kill him because it brought the metric score down of the game.
Fucking internet, man, I swear.
Yeah, dude. All right, we got to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get into some smaller news, and we'll get into some Spider-Man. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. We'll see you guys all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And where were we? Okay, yep, we got some San Diego Comic-Con news. I guess they inked a new deal with the city of San Diego. They'll have the convention there through 2021. The negotiations lasted over a year, and I think it's because they're expanding it.
Are they? I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I think because like that's been the biggest problem, I guess, for the last few years, is how they needed more space.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about it.
Well, because I know they had like tentative talks. What a few years ago, and it was kind of like, oh, is this not gonna happen? Is this what's going on? And then they signed a new deal through, I think, next year, and then they went back to the table to do another multi-year deal. But they negotiated this for like a year. That's insane.
Well, it says here in January, an article from the San Diego Union Tribune, Convention Center expansion clears legal hurdle. Because I guess there was a lot of issues with the city. I'm not going to read through the article right here, but yeah. So I guess I think that's what was holding it up. I knew that there was some sort of expansion because people talked about it. I think when I went to the Star Wars one, they were talking about how they were going to go to San Diego Comic-Con, but they heard that like it's not as they need to make it bigger because it just seems like the convention's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there wasn't enough space. So I don't know. You know what? I mean, of all the seriously, I've talked about this to a few people. All the conventions that are out, the one I want to go to the most is right around the corner from you, Heroes Con.
Yeah, down in Charlotte. Yeah, it's every June.
That's the one that has all the comic book creators, where San Diego is apparently the comic book movie one, or just, popular movies in general.
It's the mainstream one.
Yes, yeah. And New York Comic-Con is apparently like half foot in comic book world, half foot in the entertainment world.
Yeah.
And Heroes Con is like just straight comic books. That's what I want to go to.
Nice.
Yeah. Hopefully next year.
I always had this weird idea that somewhere out in the Midwest, outside of Tornado Alley, they should build a con town. That way, and I know part of the charm is that different cons are in different places, but build a town around a civic center, convention center, whatever you want to call it, that's big enough for San Diego Comic-Con that you can also break down to have whatever the hell else you wanted. That way, it's not a 12-hour trip for people or anything. Like, I like the idea of centralizing it. I don't know. It's a weird idea.
Well, they have one in Chicago. They had what, Midtown, or not Midtown. Fuck, Wizard World.
Yeah.
Yeah, back when Wizard Magazine was like
a thing.
The thing. Wizard World. Yeah, that's the one in Chicago. And they have like a Chicago Comic-Con, I believe, too.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
there's ones in Canada, and I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, just take, find a town-sized piece of land and just build Conville. Just the sole purpose of this town is to hold conventions. It's one of those bizarre ideas that somebody comes up with that, they sink millions and millions of dollars into this convention center that stands empty for 100 years because nobody ever uses it.
I guess everyone that lives there, no one would live there. They'd be all out-of-towners flying in.
I mean,
I guess the people that would live there would work there, but...
I mean, it's... I mean, you can see how thorough I've thought this out.
Right. Like, I would love a convention all the time near me, but I don't have that money. I barely have it for, like, once a year.
Right.
That's the problem. The people living around that would be like, all right, we don't have any more money to give you.
Right.
But, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, man. But, there's conventions everywhere. And I think you're a great example of, check out your small town. How did you find out about that again?
I saw I think I saw it on Facebook, like just a random post. I don't know if it was from them, or if it was something somebody sent me, or if it was in the paper even at one point, because I still get the newspaper. Mm-hmm. But like I forget like how I saw it, and I was like, wait a minute,
there's a newspaper.
I was like, there's a Comic-Con here? What? And then I checked it out, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, it is. Like, it is tiny, because it's in the convention center, and it's pretty much all vendors.
Right.
You've got like I said,
that's how they all started, though. I mean, that's how it first started in New York City. Like,
exactly,
it was at a hotel. Like, I watched the Bill Finger documentary. I still didn't finish it. And it talks about the first Comic-Con was like in a dirty old hotel, and it was run down, and it had some comic book people there, and it was people there selling comics, and that's how it starts. So, like, what you're doing in your city, it's only going to get bigger. More and more people hear about it. Once they get really on social media and start pushing it, and I think that's awesome. I hope that people listening, you live in a small town, search for it. See if it's there. See what's the closest thing. Go on, like you said, social media, and if there's not, start it. If you can.
Yeah, I mean they've got because these are the people that do. From what I saw, this is the same group that organizes the convention that they have in Hickory, which is like half an hour west of us, I think. And I thought, okay, well that makes sense. It's a bigger city. It's an actual like city-sized city kind of.
Right. But
when I saw like Statesville Comic-Con, I was like, are you really? You're really gonna try this? Okay. I mean, we've got a comic book store, so I kind of figured that was where we peaked in terms of that. Like, I thought, okay, we've got a local comic store. That's pretty much gonna be it. And then when they did the first one in February, and it was like, oh shit, people showed up. 1/10 of the town showed up to this. And so they went, okay, you know what? This was awesome. We're going to do another one in July. And they haven't put out any numbers yet, but it looked and it felt bigger. It was the same hall and everything, but it really did seem like, okay, now we're going somewhere. And that to me was just awesome. Like, here, I mean, take a look at kind of everything you can find about Statesville, because there's not much. And that was kind of the point of, like, this here, like this, and that was, this town sits on the intersection of I-70, whatever the hell it is, because I confuse 75 and 77 from living on both of them, and I-40. This place should be huge. This should be a freaking city sitting on two major interstates like this, and instead it's a town of 20,000, and they're trying to build.
Why do you think that is?
I really don't know. I could guess, I could speculate, but I just don't exactly know. But over the last couple years, I mean, a few years ago we had a film festival here. We've got the Full Bloom Film Festival in, I think it's September. And that was the first thing. I was like, Statesville's having a film festival? I'm sorry, what alternate reality did I step into here?
Right.
And they're going to do, I'm pretty sure it's the third one this year. And I was like, okay, now we're going somewhere. And they are building things here. It looks like they're finally making some progress, and with that comes culture. And
do you think a lot of people want to keep it like a small town?
I think that's part of it.
It's like one of those classic Hallmark movies where they don't want the big guys coming in to take out the little shops.
Yeah, because I mean, what the fights have been about this company that's coming here, and I'll give you an example without branding anything. There was a truck stop that they wanted to build right off the interstate, right off of I-40, and they've been in court over it for years. Because people have been saying, oh, well, truck stops bring hookers and cocaine. And I'm like, are you fucking... What century is this? Are we not living in 2017? Is this... what in the hell is going on here?
You guys just need a monorail.
If you come around town and say the word monorail, they might tie you to a stake.
Right. Monorail.
Damn near killed him. But there's still I think that's part of it. But I think that is slowly starting to change. I mean, they're building there's so much construction going on around where the interstates cross, and that's a whole other thing. But it looks like they just announced a giant, not business center, but like business complex, not like an industrial complex, business park. That's the word I was looking for. Like 3 or 4 exits down from us, so that's local-ish. So I mean, there's growth here, and things are happening, and jumping on with things like this, like Statesville Comic-Con or the Full Bloom Film Festival, all of that kind of stuff, it just helps. And it's striking to see how those things go hand in hand. You start building more in a town, you start expanding the town, you start increasing the kind of feeling of community, and you get culture that comes with it. And that's like I think that's awesome, and I want to see more of it. And I will be banging the drum for all of this stuff as it comes and goes.
Absolutely. Hell yeah. All right, man. Well, we got a few minutes before we got to take a break. Did you want to start diving into Spider-Man, or do you want to talk about Crash first?
I mean, with Crash, there's not too much to talk about.
Yeah, well, let's knock him out then first. Yeah. So we gotta.
I mean, it's
good segments.
The best thing that I saw, I think, was from the IGN review, which talked about how it looked, was how it basically looked like a Saturday morning cartoon. And that to me was perfect, because I thought, yes, that's actually exactly what this looks like. And that's awesome. They didn't really change anything, which was fine. I didn't need, I didn't need
I heard
this.
They did. I heard you can now play as the female Crash.
Well,
girl,
I mean,
whatever her name is.
Yeah, but I mean, that's basically just a skin. It's,
Yeah, but I mean, that's cool. That's awesome. It is.
No, it's absolutely cool. But like, in terms of does it actually change the gameplay? No. I know,
but I think that's important though, because Crash is a game. We were kids when we played it, so imagine a kid getting that now. You can hand that to your daughter and be like, you can play as the girl. I think that's awesome.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
I just meant in terms of like gameplay. Actual gameplay. I mean, it doesn't in that respect. None of the mechanics are different or anything.
Right.
But I mean, everything else, the first one is still as much of an almighty pain in the ass as I remembered it. And, oh, man, I still haven't beaten it. Like, I am trying, oh, man.
I'm afraid to do it because every time I pick up an old school game, I'm reminded how old I am and how I can't play like that anymore. I felt like when we were kids, it's that, we talked about this last week, I think, we had all that time to perfect it. And nowadays we get a few hours at best.
Yeah.
To try and knock it out.
Yeah. What did I see somewhere? I don't know if it might have been on Twitter. Somebody posted a thing about how hard, just really about how hard it is. Like, you have to play through a level 20 times in some cases before you have it figured out. And I was like, yeah, damn, that's right. Like, we did used to have to do that because, we had the irony of it was back then we had lives instead of save points, and now instead of time to play video games, we have actual lives.
Right, yeah, we got responsibilities and bills and all this other stuff that tries to take over our time, and and me and you, I think we game a lot more than most people, but still at the same time, it feels like hardly any, you know. So it's difficult, dude. And that's why I feel I'm always gonna love the big RPGs and stuff like that. But if I'm being honest with myself, and if I came at a new game honestly, I'd look at it and go, I don't know if I'm ever gonna finish that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games over the last, I don't know, 5 years where I just have never finished. Because I just can't find I have like severe ADD too, so as soon as I get bored of something, I'm on to the next thing. The only things that really kind of hold my attention these days, like for example the Injustice game, because I can jump in and jump out. Destiny, I can jump in and jump out, even though sometimes you need a few hours for like the raids. But it's one of those where it's like you do it at your own time. I think Crash, actually, we're coming around full circle here. That's a game you could probably continue and continue and continue.
Oh, totally.
Continue to get better. and you can turn it off after a few levels if you get frustrated.
Yeah. Or switch to a different one of them.
Right, yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. Because don't they change up the perspective in the next two?
No.
No, it's the same?
I'm not sure what you mean.
I never played the third one. Well, I mean, it's more of a... The first one I remember, it was like, you're going from the front of the screen to, it's like an endless runner almost.
Oh, yeah,
and then it's the opposite way. And, like, I remember a boulder chasing you.
Right, yeah, yeah, that's true.
I remember the second or third one where it was like you're actually going from the left to the right sort of platformer.
Yeah, they are. Well, some of the levels in the first Crash are left to right.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but they are mostly. Well, I say that, but they're all.
You ever think this is gonna come out on the iPad?
Oh, I don't know.
It'd be difficult, I guess, if the controls are hard on even a PlayStation.
Yeah, because you need 2 or 3 buttons at a time sometimes, or in very quick succession. I don't think it lends itself real well to mobile.
I did read that this one is more difficult than the older ones because apparently the way the polygons are, the way the feet are, and the way the hit detection is when you land on objects and stuff like that, it's different from the original. Yeah. I can. So they're saying more people are slipping off or not jumping in time, and their brain has just been used to doing one thing one way. I don't know. It's interesting though.
Yeah, that's curious, and I can absolutely see that because I mean these games are 20 years old at least.
Yeah.
So it's not just a simple God, you don't think about that really. Where it's like, right. Oh yeah, we updated the graphics. Yeah, but you've changed how they're shaped. That's yeah. Wow, I didn't think about that. How you land
when you jump. Yeah, apparently, like the creator or who's the creator of Mario? What's his name?
Miyamoto, right?
Miyamoto, yeah. For one of them, Miyamoto or someone else talked about how like they changed the way Mario does it so that like I don't know the exact quote. I don't have it in front of me, so maybe I shouldn't say it. But it was to the point of where like. They adjusted it because if it was how it should be, people would be doing it wrong. So they adjusted it a little bit. Okay. So it's like when you run and jump, it's a lot user friendly for the person.
God, that's
it's a lot more giving or something like that. And I don't know. I heard that on Giant Bomb they were talking about. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, but oh shit, we're coming up against a quick break. We'll be back. We will talk about SpiderMan. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. We'll see you guys all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And we're just going to dive into SpiderMan now. Now, got a few segments left, so what we're going to do is, I imagine first we're going to steer clear of any spoilers. We're going to talk about just like our history with Spider-Man, I'm thinking, and we'll go into like some of our favorite books, how we get started with it, where we're at now, and then kind of we'll try and then, dive into like, maybe we'll list what our favorite movies are for the Spider-Man ones, and then probably in the last segment we will get into spoilers. I think it's a good plan. But yeah, so Logan, I know Spider-Man's your guy, so tell me, how did it all start for you?
With Spider-Man vs. the Kingpin on Sega Genesis.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that was my.
I don't think I've ever played that.
Yeah, that was my first. That was like the first that I could remember being introduced to Spider-Man.
Oh wow!
And I wouldn't get into the comics until a long time later. But
oh really?
That was where it started with me. Was that game, and it was fun to see like all of these villains and have no idea who was who, know any of the backstory, none of it, really until the Fox cartoon came along. But I think that's why because anytime you talk to somebody and you say quick Spider-Man's biggest villain, everybody says Green Goblin. Everybody and their mother says Green Goblin.
I'd say Venom.
I say Doc Ock.
Oh really?
That was I don't exactly know.
Oh, that's right.
Why? I guess because there was no Green Goblin in Spider-Man vs. Kingpin, and because Ock was a more recurring character on the animated show.
I'd say you're not wrong. I mean, Doc Ock is probably his. I mean, if you think about, I mean, I don't know. It's tough.
It's an odd toss up, and it's part of that's what makes Spider-Man a great hero, is because he has so many great villains. It's the same thing with Batman. Like, heroes are defined by their villains. It's why Superman is a little stale sometimes, because he has like 3 villains that people know, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's, with Spider-Man, there's so many different avenues, and over the years they've done such a great job of building these villains out. We've been doing the whole pick a comic and read it for the year thing, and I'm a little behind because I'm just breaking into the 300s on Amazing.
Okay. You're a lot farther than I am.
But like I just finished up Kraven's Last Hunt. That little arc. It ran through 93 and 94, 293, 294. And some of the other ones, like Peter Parker, Amazing Spider-Man, whatever the hell. I forget what all the side series are called. I'm not paying too much attention to that, to be honest with you.
Right.
But that was the thing. Like, that was a villain who, in so many other comics, would have just been a one-off. And,
right.
I mean, Spider-Man had plenty of one-offs because he's been around for, God, what have they got to be up to now? 800 issues, closing in on it? Like, it's madness that how much that story has grown and changed and everything. But they've been able to do so much with it and with all these villains, and I think that's really what's helped. That's what helps make him so relatable. Isn't just that he's not fighting these constant intergalactic style threats. He's he's policing New York, really. Like, that's it's not quite the micromanaging level that Daredevil has, but it's it's guys like the Shocker who built a thing that shoots little vibrational energy and stuns people. And when it's something like that where he has to pull his punches because these are just regular people.
Right.
Ock found that out in Superior when at the right when they switched, and so he took a big swing at Scorpion and knocked his entire lower jaw off. It was like, holy shit! Like, has this guy been pulling his punches all these years? Yeah.
Well, I mean, he did kill Peter, right? Essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. That was oh man, that was weird. I mean, it worked. Yeah. It looped around. It got a little timey-wimey in a way, but it worked.
Yeah. I think Superior Spider-Man is one of the best Spider-Man stories I've ever read. But,
agreed.
I haven't read that many, but he has a funny history with Peter Parker. Like, didn't he date his aunt?
He married Aunt May at one point, I think.
That's right. He married her. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh
man,
Did you know he's in the current Spider-Man book?
I'm not surprised. I know they, like, when they relaunched it, when they relaunched everything after Secret Wars, they dropped hints that, like, oh yeah, Ock's still around.
Right. He's young now, and he is.
That's a frightening thought.
Yeah, he's young, and he's in. He's like, his new outfit looks like Spider-Man. Like, he's straight up Superior Spider-Man now with the Doc Ock arms. Yeah. He's in the tie-ins for the Captain America stuff.
Okay.
So he's like the new Spider-Man for Captain America, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's interesting. Yeah, it's from his perspective, because Spider-Man's kind of been absent from this whole thing, and we're finally now getting a peek of what's been going on with him. And
right.
Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. That's interesting, and that's such a weird kind of thought, because that was how Peter lost at the whole end of what was the story? End of Days, when, it was him against Ock. And Ock was like, screw it, I'm going to destroy the world. He went full-on supervillain in a very classic kind of sense. Like, I've built a giant death ray, basically. And it was all a trap. And Peter fell right into it. And it was, we didn't find out about that until a good bit later. And then we got Superior. And that was awesome. But, my first Spider-Man comic actually was, I forget, one random issue from the Maximum Carnage storyline.
Oh.
And I was, like 5, 6? No, I'd have been 5, because this was mid-93. I might have just been, it would have been not long after it came out.
Yeah.
So I'd have been 5, maybe 6. But
the first one that sticks out to me, it was my older brother's, and it was the one from Todd McFarlane, where the one where it's an iconic cover of him just like sitting in a web.
Yeah.
And it's like a bazillion spiders crawling in the web.
Yeah.
And they've redone that cover a few different times, but I remember the art just looking amazing.
McFarlane's art was extraordinary, and I love later on when he came out and cursed all the detail that he put into it, because once he started doing it that way, he had to keep doing it that way. And he hated it. He was like, this looks amazing, and it would have been an awesome like painting or like just like a cover, but he started just drawing Spider-Man that way in the pages, and so he had to keep doing it, and and he hated it. He hated it so much.
Yeah, I don't think the first comic I've ever bought of his, it was the first volume of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Nice.
Yeah, that was my, always been X-Men, always bought X-Men comics. Whenever we, as a kid, read comics, we'd go to local grocery store here, Publix, and I'd pick up an X-Men comic. Always X-Men, all X-Men, always X-Men. And then when I got older, it was like in the 2000s. I think it was in high school. That's when I got the first volume, because I went to the comic store and I was like, I read this Hush. It was great. I want something else. I want Marvel. And they were like, okay, go get. They're like, what do you like? I was like, X-Men, blah, blah, blah. They're like, okay, do this. Get Ultimate X-Men Volume 1 and Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1. And I loved it. It was so good.
Yeah.
So that was like my first. And I like, I've been into comics, so I knew his origin and all that other good stuff. But I loved how Brian Michael Bendis just weaved his story, his origin. And obviously it was different from the original, but it was good. It was really good. It made me like immediately go out. I think there was only like, I forget how many volumes were out at that time, but I ran through them real fast.
Yeah.
Until
the first comic that I ever bought, it's funny you talk about that and Ultimate Spider-Man. The first comic I actually bought wasn't until I got to Orlando, because I would go, like, I went to the library and would just read what they had there, because they would have like the more commercial versions of the trades. They all seemed to me like strategy guides, the way they were all bound like that, like those kind of books.
Right.
The first comic I bought when I got to Orlando was Ultimate Spider-Man 150, which was the last one, which was the one the one where he died.
Oh yeah, that.
So that was it was after
2009.
Yeah, it was after it had happened. It was years later, but they had it there, and I thought I gotta have this. Yeah. And I would go back later and I got the trade, and I grabbed a couple others, but that was the first comic that I ever actually bought was the last Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's a collection that, man, I wish I had enough money. I would totally buy that collection of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's
my favorite run of Spider-Man, or pretty much anything. I Brian Michael Bendis' run on that is comparable to like Scott Snyder's Batman.
Yeah.
It's like, triple the size, of course. It's a lot of issues, but it's definitely like I loved that first volume so much. I went out and got the omnibus, like the big, like you can only read this sitting at like a dining room table kind of book.
Oh, goddamn, yeah. Those things are and they've only done one. That's the only one of those that they've done.
Really? I thought they did 2 of them.
Maybe there's been a second one. I'm not sure.
You mean of the Ultimate Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Because they make them for a whole bunch of other stuff.
Oh yeah. No, I meant of just that. And 160, not 150, 160. I knew that wasn't right.
Gotcha, and you're right. Yeah, they only made the first volume of it available.
Yeah, because it's its own contained story. It's 160 issues of just his story. You don't need all the crossovers like Ultimate Enemy or Ultimate Power. You don't really need them.
It's not 160 issues. It's like 25. It's like the first 3 volumes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only $63 at Barnes and Noble right now.
That's not bad.
No, because I think I paid like $100 for it.
Yeah.
Like I paid an insane amount of money for it. But I really wanted it. Like I said, it's one of my favorite runs. And it's so good. You can tell they got a lot of the stuff in the movies based off of that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that's because that was what that whole book was about. They anchored it. It's what's great. That entire book, the entire Ultimate Spider-Man run, takes place over the course of 1 year.
Right.
And that to me, that blew my hair back when I realized that. I was like, oh shit, this is just he's been Spider-Man for a year.
Right.
And gone through all this and everything. It's insane.
And the crazy thing is when they introduced Miles and how it was such a fresh like take on it. It just took charge, you know. And it was just like shit. Like this book is so great and it lasted so long and he was going to end it. I think Brian Michael Bendis was pissed at what's his name? Who's the guy that killed the Ultimate Universe? With Ultimatum.
Oh man, I don't remember, but because Ultimatum was just such a god awful story.
Yeah, people hated it.
It was terrible. I mean, not the idea of like this giant catastrophe that kills a bunch of heroes and whatnot, but
Jeff Loeb.
Yeah, but the execution and some of the particular points were just like this. Yeah. This is just stupid.
And the thing is, like, I loved the Ultimates. That's another good collection. The Ultimates and the Ultimates 2. Yeah. And then it kind of goes crazy and dumb from there.
3 gets a little weird.
Yes. And, you know, I honestly think they should have kept Ultimate Peter Parker dead. Because it's like they brought him back, and then, like, for what? It just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it was this weird. Well, because they brought Norman Osborn back.
Right.
And
I think they wanted him to have a happy ending, and they're like, okay, he got a happy ending, and then Miles is now our guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was a little bummed on that note. I was, but I liked how it wasn't the idea of like now there's going to be 2 Spider-Men. He was like, no, you know what, dude, you got this. I got my own shit to figure out, so I'm gonna go.
You know, we got Spider-Man 2 coming out soon.
I can't wait. It's next month, and I can't.
Oh, it's next month?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's August because the Spider-Men crossover was amazing. It was fantastic, and they ended it because this was after Ultimate Peter was dead. So yes. For 616 Peter to show up, you know, that freaked everybody the hell out. But it allowed for a lot of really fantastic moments. Mm-hmm. Not, you know, especially an official passing of the torch to Miles. Like, right. That was a really great way to say, no, this kid's the new Spider-Man now. Like, he's earned it. Mm-hmm. Deal with it. And then, you know, when he came back, you know, Peter comes back to the 616 world, and he's like, oh, I wonder who Miles Morales is here. And the shot of just him with the glow of the computer screen and that face, that just like, no way. And then they ended it. I was like, are you... Been, you know, what, 5 years that we've been waiting for this now?
Yeah, I wonder who that's going to be. You know what? You know, it'd be interesting if somehow Ultimate Peter Parker makes his way into the regular 616 universe. That would be That'd be weird.
Well, I mean, after everything that happened with Secret Wars, and
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
Where's he been?
I don't know. And that was another great thing that they did in Secret Wars. You know, Miles had the perfect moment.
Mm-hmm.
He had that moment. I'm hungry. I've got a cheeseburger. You've what?
Yeah.
I got a cheeseburger. It was such a Spider-Man moment. Like
Yeah.
and it fit him perfectly. He clearly owned that role in his own perfectly awkward way. It was he absolutely was Spider-Man. It was just the right kind of different take on it. And so it's been so much fun to watch this character in both of those universes, because God knows he's been through so much in the main continuity, from Last Hunt to the other to the Gauntlet to just
One Last Day, which
oh man, to clones, and I have not been up on this current run, so I've missed the Dead No More saga, but
I hear is it Dead No More? I thought it was like worldwide whatever. Dead No More, what do you mean?
That was when they decided they were going to redo the clone conspiracy. What was it?
I thought it was called Worldwide something. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about with the Jackal or whatever.
Yeah, it was. I think it started on like issue 19 of this newest one.
Gotcha.
Like they started it with like Parker Industries has gone global kind of thing, but it wove its way into a clone conspiracy. Yeah.
Right. We got to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll talk more about Spider-Man. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. We'll see you guys all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. We were talking about Spider-Man and some of his current run stuff. I need to catch up on it too. I know I read the last one, but it was like all the Secret Empire tie-ins.
Yeah.
From what I heard from people who did read it, were like, it was okay. It wasn't bad, because it could be like the old clone saga bad. But I hear a lot of people are just excited and ready to get on and get to the next chapter.
Yeah.
Which would be interesting. I kind of feel bad, because everyone's going to go see Spider-Man right now, and they're going to be like, all right, I want to go read Spider-Man right now. And it's going to be this weird tie-in to Secret Empire. It's not going to be like a straight... I think what they did is they released a Spider-Man comic called Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah, they've done another new series. They did relaunch that one.
Right, and that was the one that they had up like right up front at the shop, where it was like, him opening up his shirt and he's got a mustard stain on it, and it was like, here's the Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So I think that's what people, when they go into the shop, they'll pick up.
If it was up to me, I would just put the first trade from Ultimate Spider-Man up front.
Oh yeah, that was there too. Like they had that. They had the Miles Morales one. That's kind of the weird thing, because there's like a volume 1 for Ultimate Spider-Man, and there's a volume 1 for like Ultimate, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, when they did all that rebranding, because they rebranded the Ultimate Comics like 3 times. They did it after Ultimatum, and then they did it again after Death of Spider-Man, and then they did it again, after United We Stand, I think. And it got weird. It got really weird.
It did. It definitely did. But but yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, that's one thing I would love to go back through, is to get the just to go and dive into, especially the Ultimate stuff. That would be something I would love to kind of run through. The omnibus is too big, though, to sit down and can't really enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I would encourage anybody. Like, there's, you've got key issues of Amazing Spider-Man that are really great for the character, but, Ultimate Spider-Man is 160 issues, which is not a huge commitment, really. Right. And it tells a bunch of tremendous stories in the way even they couldn't escape a clone saga. They had to do one, because you just have to. They handled it in a tremendous way, and the payoff was fantastic. The way they buttoned it with just that, it was great to see how they, Nick Fury talking about S.H.I.E.L.D., like, no, we built all this to come after you in case you ever went nuts.
Right.
And he was like, and after all of this, can you blame us? And it was the lessons in it and the stories. It's fantastic. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely pick that up. Start with volume 1 and just kind of go from there. They're all still in print because of how popular it is. So and if not, then you can get on Comixology. There's always sales. There's constant sales on these things, especially digital. Marvel always does a sale. And then your local comic shop just, sometimes they'll do sales where it's like buy 2 graphic novels, get 1 free. Do that. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Our local shop does that. That's why I got all these Green Lantern books. So the day I walked in, they were like, hey, it's buy 2, get 1 free or something. I was like, oh, I guess I got to get all 3 volumes now.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So we don't have that much time left. So I guess let's just dive into the movie. So I guess from this point forward, maybe we'll talk a few minutes about the movie and then we'll get into spoilers. What did you think of Homecoming?
Overall, awesome. It may be, I think, my favorite standalone Marvel movie. My favorite, single character movie.
Was it your favorite Spider-Man movie?
Yes. I
think so, too.
It's close between that and Amazing Spider-Man. Because Andrew Garfield was fantastic. And he and Emma Stone had a great on-screen chemistry, largely because they had a great off-screen chemistry. But it worked. And it was the first movie like that that I believed everybody. And I did even more so in Homecoming. Nobody to me acted out of character. When when there were all the awkward moments, I believed them. They weren't forced or they weren't quickly resolved. There was just the right amount of awkward, and I thought I loved it. I really did.
Yeah, it's they all felt like kids, real kids.
Yeah,
Stranger Things kids. It felt very like this is exactly how Spider-Man would be in 2017.
Yes.
And not in a bad way. They weren't stereotypes. They weren't, it wasn't like satire millennials. It was like, oh no, that's how they would sound and that's how they would act. And, of course he would say, penis Parker, because it's dumb. And that's how kids are that's how kids are.
Yeah.
They're not original. They're not, they say stupid shit. And at first I didn't like Flash, because I was like, no, he's not big enough. He should be a big bully. But then I was like, you know what? Not all bullies are giant people that pick on people. They're just assholes.
Exactly.
And it really, all the characters. I mean, this is the first time that we've really seen Peter have a group of friends.
Yeah.
To me at least, in a film. He's had a few friends or whatnot, but especially I call him Genki just because he's straight up Genki.
He is, yeah.
He is, but Ned was, oh man, I loved his character. He had the Star Wars Legos. He was a big nerd. he was one of my favorite scenes from the film where he talks about, he's like, can I be the guy in the chair? That's what I want to be. And then later, we're getting into some spoilers here, we should say, I guess. We only got a few minutes left. We love the film. You should go see it. I agree with you, Logan. This is my favorite Spider-Man film, and I think it is my favorite Marvel film that they've done standalone. That being said, let's because we can't really talk about what happened in the film without actually spoiling it. So do what you gotta do. Hopefully you've seen it by now. But yes, I'm with you. The scene where he's spinning around in the chair and he's like, I'm the guy in the chair. That I could see that in a panel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I could see that in a panel, and it was very, like John Hughes, without being too, I know that they showed they legit show the Ferris Bueller scene
and
the movie.
Yeah, part of me hated that because it was like he just got done doing it and now they're gonna show it, and part of me really hated that, but part of me really loved it. So it kind of comes out a wash for me because I was like, man, just let people get the joke. But then I thought, you know what? The way that it's done, okay, fair enough. Like,
it didn't take me too much out of it.
No,
and I thought it was done just right. Yeah, I thought it was great. This had the best villain that I've seen in a Marvel film, I think.
Yes.
Loki is right up there with him. But you actually, he has a reason to do what he's doing. And, at the beginning, you feel for him. You're like, fuck, he is just like everybody else who is getting fucked over. And, I love that that's what this film was all about. Like, it was weird in a way because they were both kind of the same. They both had this suit thing that they didn't really comprehend. And they were, it was weird in a way how similar they were. And, he points that out. He's like, you and me, they don't care about us.
Yeah.
We pick up the scraps, and that's what he was doing with Tony Stark. He was picking up the scraps.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. And he and I thought, the Vulture had just a great point of like, someone's going to profit off of this. Like, this is exactly what I'm doing the same thing Tony Stark did. I'm profiting off the weapons. And I loved that to Spider-Man. It was like, no, but you're still wrong. You're wrong for what you're doing. Like, I get why this is happening, but you're wrong. And I loved it. Made him a character, and it made the stakes. It gave the movie stakes.
Yes.
It made me care about not only what's going to happen to Peter, but what is going to happen to this Vulture character, what his family, and that was another thing we'll touch on, but I didn't see that coming at all.
Best left turn I have seen in a very long time.
Oh yeah, exactly. I don't ever expect them anymore with these films because me and you, we know comics, and not trying to sound whatever, but when we see them, it's rare that there's a surprise or a left turn, and that was a huge left turn, and I won't even say it because I don't want to spoil it, but that was fun, and it was like, oh shit, man, something happened that I did not expect, and
and
I don't know,
so well written, that whole sequence of like build up, and then the poetry in that. What is break that down from a teenager's perspective. What is one of the most terrifying things that's ever going to happen to you? And when you see the movie, you're like, oh, I get it. He's a little nervous. He's apprehensive. And then that becomes absolute terror because of who he meets. Not just as that character, but as that particular relationship to a different character. It was that was the level that I thought, that's perfect. And
it made you wonder, like, oh shit, and if you were in his shoes, would you do the same thing? Like, you have it made you go, what's the smart thing to do here? And Spider-Man, of course, Peter Parker does the right thing, not necessarily what would be the easiest for him. And I thought that was perfect. There's a line that he says in the film, and I think it's straight from Civil War, where he says, when you can do things that I can, but you don't, and then bad things happen, they happen because of you.
Yeah.
And it was great. Like the scene with the corner store, I think was so important to the film.
Yes.
Because I've never been in New York City, but to me that scene felt so real that I imagine that people who live in New York City or live in a big city, they know those local corner stores. They know the people there. They know the cat's name. And it was like a family to them. And he realized that him fucking around across the street with the people robbing the bank, it had some severe, consequences from it. And so I thought that was important. And then later on, when he has that scene with Donald Glover, which can we talk about that?
So good.
So one of my favorite scenes in the whole film. And they argue about what deli is the best because bread is important to him. And that to me just felt like there's some humanity in this picture.
Yes. Yes. That is such a New York thing. It's to just, nah, man, it's Billy's bad. Nah, they got too much bread. I like bread. Like,
Right, yeah, exactly, and that's how it comes off in the comic, that like he is a citizen of Queens, you know what I mean? And spoiler alert for that was the Prowler, and he's like, look, dude, he's like, I wasn't trying to go there and buy. My favorite one of his lines where he's like, I'm not trying to send him back in time, but where he's like, I have a nephew that lives in this city too.
So,
this what do you call it, the block or whatever.
Yeah, I got a nephew that lives here, man. Like, I just, come on, are you kidding me?
Oh, that's coming. I think he'll be in the sequel in some capacity, maybe referenced again or something. But
yeah,
I know Peter Parker is in the the mixed universe, and the other characters aren't really. I hope Miles Morales is in the mixed universe as well.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Because apparently, like, Venom and all of them are technically tied to it, but we are not expected to see them mix up with the MCU, but they're technically still in that universe. I hope that Miles is an exception and that he is mixed in. And I think what they're doing is they are setting a road to go down. So when Tom Holland does want to hang up the tights, that he has we'll have Miles.
Yeah.
Which is smart to lay all that foundation down now. And I love that it was Donald Glover in it.
Yeah, that's great. And
what did you think of MJ? I thought she was great.
I did too, and I loved how at the end, because this was one of the few movies that I've seen with a crowd lately. I went on Saturday right after Comic-Con. I went from Comic-Con to go see SpiderMan. It was a perfect day. I loved it. It was great. Except I had to work that night, which sucked. But so, but like in the crowd, like when you have that left turn, everybody in there, and I mean for this theater, I mean there were 50 people in there, which may not seem like a lot, but for this place it was packed. I mean that's a crowd around here. Every one of them was like, oh shit, no way. And then at the end, when she was like, yeah, my friends call me MJ, you could hear a couple people were like, wait a minute, time out, what?
Right. They were like, wait a second, where's the red hair?
Right.
But but yeah.
Or the right name, but that's
right. I think. Well, I thought it was a cool twist on it, because when she said Michelle, Michelle.
Yeah.
She says it early in the film when they're at DC. That's when I caught on.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, oh shit! I bet her middle name, because I didn't recognize the other character's name, his love interest. I think her name was Liz or something in this.
Well, I think they kind of invented her for the film.
No, she's from the comics, apparently, from like the 12th issue.
No, there was a Liz in the comics, but she wasn't his daughter.
Correct, but her character is from the comics.
Okay, so they changed
Liz
her.
Allen, I think is Liz Allen.
Yeah,
right.
Her I remember. Yeah, so they tweaked her character a little. Okay,
right.
Fair enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought it all fit very well.
Yeah.
For sure. With what they were doing. We don't have, man. I shouldn't have talked too much about other stuff. We didn't have enough time. Well, I tell you what, we'll come back to Spider-Man next week, because I'm sure a lot of people still haven't seen it yet, and I hope we didn't get too spoilery for you. It was a great film. Go see it. Again, we are We Geek Podcast. I'm Adam. This is Logan. Go to our iTunes. Make sure you like and subscribe and put up a review for us. Go to our Facebook, same thing. Our Twitter at We Geek Podcast, at The Logan Witt, at Adam Estep. We are here 9 p.m. on Wednesdays on the N.FM Eastern time, and we'll be back next week. We'll see you then, Captain.